Can anybody tell me those three components? Server, network infrastructure, Third is the most important is storage. So now in the fiber channel overview, we see that these three basic components are further divided into 5 components, and let us see what are those 5 components. I have told these 5 components in the previous class. So can anybody tell me what are those 5 components? First is the node ports. Second is cabling. Third, we'll have to understand interconnectivity devices. And fourth is the storage array. And fifth is the SAN management software. As the servers are going to be geographically distributed, they need to be managed from a single location. So therefore there is need for the management of this, and this is called as the SAN management software. So then in this we have seen in cabling, they basically SAN faces a problem of modal dispersion. So what do you mean by modal dispersion? Using the different types of cables, we have seen that we have to decide which type of cable has to be used. So the two types of cables are the SMF and MMF. So MMFs can be used up to 10 kilometers, whereas SMFs can be used up to 10 kilometers, and these MMFs have to be used only for short distance, that is up to 500 meters. Because when we use MMF, you face this modal dispersion problem. So this problem is solved using SMF cables, which can be, SMF cables are single light ray is passing through the cable, and hence there is no modal dispersion in SMF. So we have studied the components of SAN cabling, then which are the different connectors used in SAN cabling, then components of SAN, that is storage array, we have discussed, and also we have studied about management software. So now we'll have to, can anybody tell me what we have seen in the interconnectivity options? All these 5 components we have studied in detail in the previous class. So I just want someone to answer this question. SAN, which are the 3 interconnectivity options available in SAN? So 3 interconnectivity options available in SAN. So interconnectivity 3 options are point to point. First one is point to point. Second one is FCAL, that is arbitrated loop. And third one is the fabric connect. We have studied the 3 types of interconnectivity options available in SAN in detail in the previous class, and also we have understood what is fiber channel, then fiber channel switch transmission. We have also understood this, and in the previous class we have seen which are the fiber channel port types. So in today's class, we are going to discuss about fiber channel architecture. So in today's class, we will be discussing the following points: fiber channel, architecture, second point what we will be studying in today's class is the fiber channel protocol stack, FC protocol stack. And the third point which we will be studying is the FC addressing. FC addressing. And fourth point is the FC frame. And we are going to end today's class by understanding what do we mean by flow control in FC. So to begin with, we are going to first understand the fiber channel architecture. Now fiber channel architecture represents true channel network integration with standard interconnecting devices. Connections in a SAN are accomplished using fiber channel. So traditionally, transmission from host to storage devices are carried out over channel connections such as a parallel bus. So channel technologies provide high level of performance with low protocol overhead. Such performance is due to the static nature of channels and the high level of hardware and software integration provided by the channel technologies. However, these technologies suffer from inherent limitations in terms of the number of devices that can be connected and the distance between these devices. So that is what is to be monitored here. How many devices can be connected and what should be the distance between the two devices. So fiber channel protocol is the implementation of serial SCSI3 over an FC network. In the FCP architecture, all external and remote storage devices attached to the storage area network appear as local devices to the host operating system. The key advantages of FCP are as follows. Firstly, sustained transmission bandwidth over long distances, support for a large number of addressable devices over a network. Theoretically, FC can support over 15 million devices addressed on a network. Then exhibits the characteristics of channel transport and provides speeds up to 8.5 GB per second. FCP is specified by standards produced by T10. FCP3 is the last issued standard and FCP4 is under development. So FCP defines a fiber channel mapping layer that uses the services defined by ANS X 3.230 199X fiber channel physical and signaling interface to transmit SCSI commands, data and status information between SCSI initiator and SCSI target. So FCP defines fiber channel information units in accordance with the SCSI architecture model. So FCP also defines how the fiber channel services are used to perform the services defined by the SCSI architecture model. The FC standard enables mapping several existing upper layer protocols to FC frames for transmission, including SCSI, IP, high performance parallel interface, enterprise system connection, and asynchronous transfer mode. So fiber channel protocol stack. So let us understand now what do we mean? What is the fiber channel protocol stack? So it is easier to understand a communication protocol by viewing it as a structure of independent layers. So whenever you are understanding communication protocol, first we'll have to understand the functions of every layer and find out how many layers are there in that communication protocol and understand the functions of each layer. So therefore, we'll have to understand this communication protocol by viewing at it as a structure of independent layers. So FCP defines the communication protocol in 5 layers. Totally how many layers are there? Totally there are going to be 5 layers, FC0 through FC4, out of which FC3 layer is not yet implemented, and there is a scope for you to try to implement this FC3 layer and include the functionalities in FC3 layer which are missing in the existing 4 layers. So in a layered communication model, the peer layers on each node talk to each other through defined protocols. Figure illustrates the fiber channel protocol stack. So in this now we'll have to see what are the functions of each layer. To begin with, let me start with FC4, that is the upper layer protocol. Usually the upper layer protocol sends the instructions to the lower layer protocols. So let us see, FC4 is the uppermost layer in the FCP stack. This layer defines the application interfaces and the way upper layer protocols are mapped to the lower FC layer. The FC standard defines several protocols that can operate on the FC4 layer. Some of the protocols include SCSI, HIPPI framing protocol, enterprise storage connectivity, ATM and internet protocol. So FC2 transport layer. The FC2 is the transport layer that contains the payload addresses of the source and destination ports and link control information. The FC2 layer provides fiber channel addressing, structure and organization of data. It also defines fabric services, classes of service, flow control and routing. FC1 transmission protocol. This layer defines the transmission protocol that includes serial encoding and decoding rules, special characters used, and error control. At the transmitter node, an 8-bit character is encoded into a 10-bit transmissions character. This character is then transmitted to the receiver node. At the receiver node, the 10-bit character is passed to the FC1 layer, which decodes the 10-bit character into the original 8-bit character. FC0 physical interface. So FC0 is the lowest layer in the FCP stack. This layer defines the physical interface, media and transmission of raw bits. The FC0 specification includes cables, connectors and optical and electrical parameters for a variety of data rates. The FC transmission can use both electrical and optical media. So now we have completed the FC architecture and the protocol, FC protocol. So now let us move to FC channel addressing, that is FC addressing. So the FC address is dynamically assigned when a port logs on to the fabric. The FC address has a distinct format that varies according to the type of node port in the fabric. We have studied about the node ports, which are the different types of node ports: N port, NL port, F port, FL port, G port and E port. So these ports can be an N port and an NL port in a public loop or an NL port in a private loop. The first field of the FC address of an N port contains the domain ID of the switch, and this is an 8-bit field. Out of the possible 256 domain IDs, 239 are available for use. The remaining 17 addresses are reserved for specific services. For example, FFFFC is reserved for the name server and FFFFE is reserved for the Fabric login service. The maximum possible number of N ports in a switched fabric is calculated as 239 domains into 256 areas into 256 ports, which is equal to about 15 crore 663,104 fiber channel addresses. So these many addresses are available. So worldwide names. Each device in the FC environment is assigned a 64-bit unique identifier called the worldwide name. The fiber channel environment uses two types of WWN, that is worldwide name node and the worldwide port name. Unlike an FC address which is assigned dynamically, a WWN is a static name for each device on an FC network. So this is a static name for the device which is connected in the FC network. So WWNs are similar to the MAC addresses used in IP networking. So WWNs are burned into the hardware or assigned through software. Several configuration definitions in a SAN use WWN for identifying storage devices. An FC frame consists of 5 parts. So FC frame consists of 5 parts: start of frame, frame header, data field, cyclic redundancy check and end of frame. The 5 parts of a FC frame. So now we'll have to see which are these 5 parts of a FC frame. So we have completed these topics, that is, what do we mean by fiber channel architecture, FC protocol stack, FC addressing. So now we have come to this FC frame. So FC frame has 5 parts. And the 5 parts are, first one is the start of frame. Start of frame, anyway I have displayed all the 5 parts in this slide, it is there. Start of frame, frame header, data field, cyclic redundancy check and end of frame. The SOF and EOF act as delimiters. In addition to this role, the SOF is a flag that indicates whether the frame is the first frame in a sequence of frames, and the frame header is 24 bytes long and contains addressing information for the frame. It includes the following information, that is the source ID, destination ID, sequence ID. The frame header is 24 bytes and this frame header has the following information, that is source ID, destination ID, sequence ID, sequence count, originating exchange ID and responder exchange ID, in addition to some control fields. The SID and DID, that is the source and destination IDs, are standard FC addresses for the source port and the destination port respectively. The sequence ID and originating exchange ID identifies the frame as a component of a specific sequence and exchange respectively. The frame header also defines the following fields. Frame header is very important and it has all the fields embedded in it. So it also defines the following fields. What are the different fields defined by the frame header? First is the routing control. This field denotes whether the frame is a link control frame or a data frame. Link control frames are non-data frames that do not carry any payload. These frames are used for setup and messaging. In contrast, data frames carry the payload and are used for data transmission. Then the next information which is there in the header is class specific control. This field specifies link speeds for class 1 and class 4 data transmission. Type. This field describes the upper layer protocol to be carried on the frame if it is a data frame. However, if it is a link control frame, this field is used to signal an event such as fabric busy. For example, if the type is 08 and the frame is a data frame, it means that the SCSI will be carried on an FC. Data field control. A 1-byte field that indicates the existence of an optional header at the beginning of the data payload. It is a mechanism to extend header information into the payload. Frame control. A 3-byte field that contains control information related to frame content. For example, one of the bits in this field indicates whether this is the first sequence of the exchange. The data field in an FC frame contains the data payload up to 2112 bytes of original data, in most cases SCSI data. The biggest possible payload an FC frame can deliver is 2112 bytes of data with 36 bytes of fixed overhead. A link control frame, by definition, has a payload of 0 bytes. Only data frames carry a payload. So you must be able to differentiate between a link control frame and a data frame. So the CRC checksum facilitates error detection for the content of the frame. The checksum verifies data integrity by checking whether the content of the frames was received correctly. So you might all be knowing what do you mean by data integrity. So this checksum verifies data integrity by checking whether the content of the frames was received correctly. The CRC checksum is calculated by the sender before encoding at the FC1 layer. Similarly, it is calculated by the receiver after decoding at the FC1 layer. So it is calculated before encoding at the FC1 layer, and then again it is calculated at the receiver after decoding at the FC1 layer. Now these two calculations should match each other. If they match each other, then we can say that there is no tampering happened on the data during transmission. So that is the job of checksum. That is why this CRC checksum is calculated by the sender and the receiver. Structure and organization of FC data. In an FC network, data transport is analogous to a conversation between two people whereby a frame represents a word, a sequence represents a sentence, and an exchange represents a conversation. So exchange operation. An exchange operation enables two endpoints to identify and manage a set of information units. This unit maps to a sequence. Sequences can be both unidirectional and bidirectional, depending upon the type of data sequence exchanged between the initiator and the target. Sequence. A sequence refers to a contiguous set of frames that are sent from one port to another. A sequence corresponds to an information unit as defined by the upper layer protocol. Frame. A frame is the fundamental unit of data transfer at layer 2. Each frame can contain up to 2112 bytes of payload. So this completes the FC frame. What all is going to be present in FC frame, what information is given to the sender and the receiver, and how the communication takes place between the sender and receiver in case of SAN, FC SAN. So let us now understand what do we mean by flow control. So flow control defines the pace of the flow of data frames during data transmission. FC technology uses two flow control mechanisms. buffer to buffer credit and end to end credit. So let us understand what do we mean by buffer to buffer credit and end to end credit. So let us see buffer to buffer credit first. So FC uses the BB credit mechanism for hardware based flow control. BB credit so controls the maximum number of frames that can be present over the link at any given point in time. In a switched fabric, that is the BB credit management may take place between any two FC ports. The transmitting port maintains a count of free receiver buffers and continues to send frames if the count is greater than 0. So the BB credit mechanism provides frame acknowledgement through the receiver ready primitive. So unless and until the receiver is ready, the transmission will not start in BB credit. So this is how the flow control is managed in SAN. The function of end-to-end credit known as EE credit is similar to that of BB credit. When an initiator and a target establish themselves as nodes communicating with each other, they exchange the EE credit parameters, part of port login. So the EE credit mechanism affects the flow control for class 1 and class 2 traffic only. Next, let us see what are the classes of service. Classes of service provided by the FC SAN, that is the FC standards define different classes of service to meet the requirements of a wide range of applications. The table below shows 3 classes of services and their features. Another class of service is class F, which is intended for use by the switches communicating through ISL. So in the previous class we have seen what do we mean by ISL. So class F is similar to class 2 and it provides notification of non-delivery of frames. Other defined classes 4, 5 and 6 are used for specific applications. Currently these services are not in common use. So this is just a revision of this second chapter, what all we have seen in this. What is a SAN? Dedicated high-speed network of servers and shared storage devices, provide block-level data access, resource consolidation, centralized storage and management, scalability, theoretical limit approximately up to 15 million devices, secure access. So we have seen that we can connect up to 15 million devices here to the storage arrays using the FC SAN. So therefore, and this is easily scalable and it is very secure. FC SAN evolution, how the tiers have increased. So in the previous class I showed you that depending on the number of switches the data passes through, that is going to be the number of tiers are present in that particular network. So here we have seen that first initially there was a single FC hub. With single FC hub many systems could not be connected. So the next came was the interconnecting device was the switch. So FC hubs were connected to switch and from one switch you could connect to another switch which would help you to connect to more servers. And so similarly here we have added more number of switches in the as the amount of data went on increasing, the data storage had to be increased and more number of devices had to be connected to the storage arrays for faster access of the data, and this is how the SAN evolved in the years to come. So components of SAN and node ports, examples of nodes we have seen, host, storage and tape library. All these are going to be called as nodes, either the host or the storage and the tape libraries. Ports are available on HBA in host, front-end adapters in storage. Each port has transmit TX link and receive RX link. So HBAs perform low-level interface functions automatically to minimize impact on host performance. So SAN interconnectivity options, we have listed the 3 different interconnectivity options, out of which this fiber channel arbitrated loop is one of the most important connectivity options. Devices must arbitrate to gain control. Devices are connected via hubs and support up to 127 devices. So it can support up to 127 devices. So we have seen what is FCAL, and then comes the FCSW, that is Fabric Connect. Fabric Connect is dedicated bandwidth between devices, support up to 15 million devices, whereas FCAL can support only up to 127 devices. So therefore it was evolved to using the Fabric Connect, wherein dedicated bandwidth would be given to every device and it would support up to 15 million devices, higher availability than hub. Availability of data increased when this Fabric Connect was implemented. FCSW transmission. So inter-switch link, ISL connects 2 or more FC switches to each other using E-ports. ISLs are used to transfer host to storage data as well as the fabric management traffic from one switch to another. ISL is also one of the scaling mechanisms in SAN connectivity. Which are the different logging types in a switched network? So extended link services that are defined in the standard, F login, fabric login, that is port login or process login. These are the 3 types of logins. That is, first one is the fabric login, port login and the process login. So fabric login is between N port to F port and port login is between N port to N port, and N port establishes a session with another N port, and whereas process login is between N port to N port to share information about the upper layer protocol type in use and recognizing devices as the SCSI initiator or target. So that is what is done in the process login. So this completes the second unit. So in the next class, we will be starting the third unit. So till then, I ask you to revise all the questions which are given in the assignment. So please revise all the questions which are given in the assignment and prepare yourself for the first IA. First IA will be of first and second unit. So I have completed the portion what is needed for your first IA, that is first and second unit. And you please study the questions which are given in your assignment properly. So next class will start with network attached storage, that is the third unit.